Stay in touch with us on Facebook and Instagram at Unique Yet Connected. You are now listening to episode 59 of Unique Yet Connected podcast. The theme for this episode is finding the key in bridging your relationship differences.
In a relationship, what we are working towards is to find the truth, the common truth above the differences.
Hello, brilliant souls in and around the world. Nolitha Fenton is my name, Dolokas is my clan name, and this is episode 59. A warm welcome to Unique Yet Connected podcast. As always, Kinga and Nika on the other side of the virtual. Over to you, Kings.
Thank you, Noli. Thank you, Nick. Hello, dear listeners and co-editors. I am Kinga Silaidi.
Thank you for joining our movement of translating this wisdom of systemic family constellations into a practical language that all of us can easily understand and implement in our daily lives.
We finished the last episode with talking about how beneficial it is at the counter-dependent stage of your relationship to work on to see more of your partner's merits than his faults. For you to deliberately make a list of all the good about him that you can find. Read this list often. Imagine your partner in your mind's eye and say to him, I see the best in you. Say this, even when it is difficult to say it, but keep on saying it no matter what. Look for connection instead of looking for the differences between you and your partner.
Yes, you said that right, Kings. And talking about it can be challenging to experience differences in a relationship because in some way people tend to want partners who are the same as them, who think like them, who do things like them, even though they know that the differences is good for them and for the relationship growth. And it is the same difference that most probably got them attracted to each other in the first place.
You mentioned differences. Here, I would like to note that there is a misconception that when we love each other, when you love your partner and your partner loves you, it means that you are supposed to have the same opinion on everything. And this is actually not true. Just like you said already, different opinions bring in the relationship, wisdom, and a wider range of opportunities. They make you more flexible. They help because you have to look at a situation from different angles. In a relationship, what we are working towards is to find the truth, the common truth, above the differences, which can actually mean that even though you don't agree with your partner's opinion, but you honor yourself and accept his opinion. To do this is not easy and definitely not a weakness.
I like that the acceptance of each other's differences is not a weakness. In the last episode, we spoke about when one starts to discover that their partner has a bit of negative, differences that makes one partner or both of them uncomfortable as they move into the counter-dependent stage. There's some things that can come up besides each other's behaviors, personality, habits, and so on.
A saying comes into my mind, I always put my family first, and that's just the way it is. I am sure you fully agree with this, as long as the family means the family that you created with your partner. You, your partner, and if you have kids, your kids. Your opinion about this sentence will change when it's describing your partner's relationship with his family of origin. You would like to believe that when you fall in love with the person and have nothing to do with his family. However, this belief is absolutely false. When you become a couple with someone, you also become connected and tied to his family. He or she was not born from nothing, but was born into the system of his or her family. Your loved one is surrounded by his family system. Your partner will always stay part of his family, and nothing will ever change that. You also stay part of your own family system, and nothing will ever change that.
You are bringing something else that's really uncomfortable for couples to discuss. It can be a very sore point for most people because it's not always easy to get along with someone else's family. So that saying or attitude, I've always put my family first, and that's just the way it is. It sounds like someone who is not willing to accommodate new ways of doing things that come with having a new relationship. What is the cause of this? It sounds like resistance to me. So I'll ask, what could be the cause of the resistance?
Okay, you mean resistance to the new relationship? What type of resistance are you talking about?
It sounds like this person is resisting the change of doing things a little different in order to accommodate the new relationship. When you are in a committed relationship, it's not possible to continue in a single-minded approach or attitude. You can't expect yourself to do things as you've always done them. There needs to be some adjustments somewhere, even if it's not big adjustments. So to me, sticking to your guns and saying, I've always put my family first, just the way it is. It's someone who's resisting what the relationship needs or the adjustments that the relationship needs to make.
What I am saying is that if you don't work on changing this attitude, you said attitude, but I would call it a perspective, you will openly or covertly going to be putting your family first because your belief system will push you to follow your family's ways of doing things. You will have difficulty changing this before you work through your beliefs and separate what is yours and what is your family's. Keep what is serving you and let go of what is not serving you anymore. Before doing this, you are always going to put your family first.
So it's a belief system that's at play here. You are still listening to episode 59. The theme for this episode is Find the Key in Bridging Your Relationship Differences. Remember, when you comment, ask questions, like, and share our content and links, you help us grow and change lives together. Like us on Facebook and on Instagram.
It is like running on autopilot. You don't necessarily know what your belief system is. You rarely sit down with your partner and start a discussion about what your family beliefs are. For example, about money. Your mother believes this, your father believes that. In every belief, there is a part of it that serves you, but there is also a part that doesn't. There is no belief out there that is fully beneficial for you, and there is no belief that is fully detrimental to you. A belief can be transformed to serve you and your life, or you can stay unconscious about it and keep on serving it.
You just touched on something important. It's true that when we get into relationships, we don't sit down and say, what was your family's belief system? And what are some of the things that you are carrying from that belief system? So I think the only belief systems or beliefs, let me rather say, that I have heard most people talk about is religious beliefs and spiritual beliefs to a certain extent, and not these other beliefs that we should be in consideration of, such as money, family, children, health, and success, and so on. Thank you for raising that important aspect. Sitting down at the beginning of the relationship could be helpful. Is there another systemic approach we could use regarding relationships?
I don't think you should sit down and talk about this. at the beginning of your relationship. There is the codependent stage of the relationship, and this stage is about merging into one another. You use the codependent phase as a foundation where you can always return and reconnect with the love that you felt towards your partner. If you are already at the beginning, start to bring in the differences instead of connecting, you lose this phase.
Aha, it makes total sense. You see, dear listener, I've jumped a stage. So it always happens. So this is the way we always do things based on experience sometimes and based on information. And we feel like, oh, unconsciously jump into something else before giving the relationship the stages or the time it needs to get to a certain point.
As I mentioned, you shouldn't worry about the differences in beliefs at the beginning of the relationship. At this stage, you have this almost naive belief that you found the only person who just like you, who understands you perfectly and wants the same things as you. And this is a good thing. And even when you get to the counter dependent stage, when it turns out that he is different from you, you shouldn't look at your relationship that you made a mistake. You should look at your partner and say to yourself that I am so blessed that I have found this person and we had this beautiful stage at the beginning that we could give to each other.
Oh, yes. It is so easy to feel like you've made the wrong choice when your differences are in full view at this stage. I'm glad you mentioned that when you are at this counter dependent stage, don't feel like you've made the wrong choice when the differences start starting to show up. Dear listener, don't be so quick to judge yourself and be like, oh my gosh, you are so different. Maybe this is not the right person for me. Focusing on the differences can be overwhelming. So be kind to yourself, your partner, and your relationship.
What is more important than looking for the differences is how you are dealing with them. How does your partner deal with them? But as always, it is best to look at yourself first. Because when you change, your relationship changes.
I know what you are saying is true, but most of the time it's hard for people to believe that when they change, their relationship changes. How can people work with that and start getting into their own rhythm? Last year, when the differences were popping out all over the place in my relationship, you said, you know what, focus on working on yourself. When you change, the relationship changes. And it did work. I know that before that if we're not doing the work, I probably wouldn't have been able to hold on to that truth and continue to keep on going because it doesn't even change automatically, and it can take weeks, it can take months, it can take years, however long it needs to take for your relationship and for where you are. Just again, the question is, how can people work with that and start getting into their own rhythm?
It takes exactly the same amount of effort to concentrate on the negative than to concentrate on the positive in your life and partner.
Yes, that's the short and meaningful answer of that question.
If you started your relationship because you believe that life is going to be easier when you are in a relationship, you will end up seeing that this is not necessarily true. When you choose to be in a relationship, you actually are definitely a person who is prepared to make changes in yourself. I'm saying this because many things are going to come up that will force you to look at yourself on a deeper level. On a certain level, it is easier to be single because then you don't have a mirror who's constantly showing you your possible shortcomings. Your shortcomings can easily be something that you are going to see as the problem in your partner. But even if you choose to be single, you won't be able to avoid facing conflict. It will come in relation to people who are close to you. It will come because, as we talked about it at the connection circle, life is a game and not a battle. It is a game of changing your perspective and understanding what a wonderful creation you are, and at the same time, everyone is a wonderful creation, just like you.
Thank you for that insight, Kings. I guess we can run, but we can hide from ourselves and what needs to change in us. This is where we end this episode. If this episode has touched you, dear listener, in any way, please do share it with the next person.
Thank you for your contribution in helping us to be chosen into the top 10 South Africa Family Podcasts by FeedSpot. Join our monthly virtual connection circle every first Tuesday evening of the month. To receive your link, subscribe on our website www.uniqueyetconnected.com or check for updates on our socials at uniqueyetconnected.
In the next episode, we'll still explore the counter-dependent stage, and these are the natural stages of a romantic relationship.
If you feel like you are experiencing limiting patterns or relationship issues and would like to have an individual session, book a family constellation session with us on our website www.uniqueyetconnected.com or on our socials, Facebook or Instagram. Our handle on both platforms is @uniqueyetconnected.
A big thank you to you, dear listener, for listening to our episode, and to Nick Mons from That Guy Productions for making us sound fabulous and on point. Episode 60 is in 2 weeks' time from now. Tune in on the 24th of November, 2024 from 10 a.m. South African Standard Time. For links and updates, stay tuned to our Facebook and Instagram pages at Unique Yet Connected, unique spelled YOUNIQUE. Stay unique, stay connected, and remember you are one of a kind, and we can only create a really meaningful podcast together. Siyabulela, Kosonom, till the next episode.
Thank you, Siyabulela, Kusanam.